Hi again then guys, and welcome to yet another rally-based review for a specific vehicle in the world of Gran Turismo Sport, and this time we are taking a look at a car which has been requested a couple of times, the Ford Mustang Gr.B rally car. Not necessarily the first choice for many people of a rally car, but at the same time, those less obvious choices can sometimes turn out to be pretty good. So, in the highly competitive world of rallying on Gran Turismo Sport, the cars are all very good so far, so it's hard for one to really rise well above the others. So with that being said, is this one good? Is it just okay? Is it perhaps great even? Or is it bad? There's a very slim chance that it could be, but nonetheless, it could be. Well, it's definitely not bad. Spoiler alert, it's not a bad rally car at all. It's actually a good one. However, for me at least, I would say that is where the Mustang ends. I would not call this a great rally car. And the reason why actually has very little to do with the fact that I'm not a huge Mustang fan, because as I mentioned in a couple of my other rally reviews, I'm not a huge fan of the Toyota 86 or the Nissan R35 in particular either. I don't dislike them, and I don't dislike the Mustang, I'm just not a fan of it in general. So that doesn't really have that much of a bearing here. However, I will say that although I don't consider this to be a great rally car, it is a very good rally car compared to what it easily could have been like. Because one of the most important things to say, I think, about the Mustang is the size of the car. In a similar way to the GTR, this is a very large vehicle. On the road, it's just fine. But when you take a huge car and then try and pilot it around a dirt track, well, what you are now expecting from said car is going to change pretty drastically. And in a vehicle like a Mustang or a Camaro or various others that are large vehicles, at least from a rallying point of view, one of the issues that can arise is the sheer size of the vehicle can sometimes make it cumbersome around very tight or twisty corners, hairpin corners, that kind of stuff. It can provide you with some assistance sometimes, such as counterbalance. I mentioned that in the Ford Focus episode and also in the R35 episode, because vehicles which are on the other end of the spectrum, very short in terms of wheelbase, can also have their own downsides in terms of handling. They tend to be the exact opposite. They're very good around tight twisty courses and city tracks, for instance, or tight dirt tracks, but they're not necessarily quite as good on wide open corners, because you just don't get the same kind of flow and the same kind of natural tail swing that a longer car with more counterbalance will have. And that's a big advantage of a car like a Mustang. It is much more tail happy than something like a Focus would be, for instance, or various other hatchback based rally cars. Now, with that being said, this is quite a powerful vehicle. It's got just under 550 horsepower, 421 pound-feet of torque, both of which can easily rival a Group 3 car, and it weighs 1,380 kilos. Which incidentally is the same as the road-going Civic Type R, and also roughly the same as the GTR rally car. So it's quite well placed. It's certainly going up against its main rival, which I would say is the GTR, not just because they're a similar size, but also because they're a similar type of vehicle, a larger, more high-performance coupe rather than a hatchback. And with that being said, the Mustang handles itself far better than a coupe of its size easily could, especially a muscle car, because a sports coupe or an exotic coupe could quite easily be good. A GTR, for instance, you would expect it to be, because the Skyline and the GTR by extension has always been a very capable motorsport vehicle, or on the road as well, and it's already all-wheel drive, which gives it a huge advantage. With a Mustang, which wasn't intended to be all-wheel drive, and wasn't really intended to go off-road that much either, especially the newer ones, there's no guarantee that it's going to be good. So the fact that this one is as good as it is, I would say is a pretty good sign. Now, in terms of power, it's certainly not lacking, but again, that can sometimes provide certain, not worries, but certain causes for concern with a rally car. You have to be careful if you're running a huge amount of power, especially on a circuit which is like this one, for instance, where I'm driving the car. A track like this, where you just can't get a huge amount of power down, it could be just as well using a less powerful car, which will sometimes result in a higher average speed anyway. But the Mustang does a good job of getting the power down, does a very good job of going through the corners rapidly, especially for its size again. But with all that being said, I'm still saying that it's a good car, but not a great one. And the reason for that is because although it feels very good for a Mustang, the simple fact is that there are definitely more adept rally cars in the game, and it just wouldn't be fair to those cars to put this on the same footing as them in terms of my review. Is it a good car? Yes. Is it good for a Mustang? Definitely. Is it as good as some of the others? No, definitely not. Something like a Toyota 86 or even a Focus can easily outmaneuver it. Something like a GTR, I would say, is still a better all-round machine, and that is a much more accurate comparison due to its size and its weight and its power. So overall, the Mustang is certainly a fan pleaser. If you do like the Mustang, it allows you to represent that love very well off-road, and don't get me wrong, this can easily win events for sure. But overall, don't go into the Mustang expecting it to be the best rally car. Regardless of if you're a fan of it or not, it is good, but it's not the best. It's not too far off, but it's not the best, nonetheless. So overall, for 450 grand, just like all of the others, it's certainly worth checking out. I won mine for one of the daily events, so again, if you get the chance to pick it up or buy it, I don't think you'll be disappointed by it. Just, as I said, don't expect it to be an absolute all-conquering machine. But overall, that's it for this particular review. I'll see you guys next time, and as always, thanks for watching.